help! I need help!
You know, I think I'll end this up by actually talking about Furiosa. I loved this movie. I only saw the one time in theaters. I actually loved it enough that I was going to see it a second time in theaters, but they pulled it right when I was about to see it. I ended up watching The Watchers instead. Yeah, The Watchers was not great. Furiosa was fantastic. Furiosa really addressed a lot of the problems I had with Fury Road. I didn't like how light on plot Fury Road was. This movie is very heavy on plot. It's so plot driven. And it's funny going into it, I really just didn't know what to expect. I was excited about it just because it was a new George Miller movie. It was a new Mad Max movie. But I wasn't like super excited about it because when it was like, I don't know, it was like Furiosa. Why do we need a prequel to it? It's like, oh, we're going to learn how she lost her arm. I don't really care how she lost her arm. But when I watched the movie, that's not what the movie's about. It's not like what those Star Wars, like those new Disney Star Wars prequels are, where they have to explain like why something's called like the Gonk droid. It wasn't like that. It was like, okay, she loses her arm. This is all happening in the background of a much more interesting story. I loved every second of it. I really enjoy this new spin on the Mad Max world. Coincidentally, it has the same opening as Waterworld, this movie, but instead of the zooming in on the Earth and it's all surrounded by water, it's just Australia. The whole world is just Australia. But I loved Dement. I think Dementus might be the best villain of all 5 Mad Max movies. Heck, I'll throw the video game in there too. I think it's the best villain. At least the best villain since Toe Cutter. Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic as Furiosa. I think I liked her better than Charlize Theron. I could not stop praising this movie. It is fantastic. I think one of the action sequences gets a little bloated in the middle, specifically the scene with the war pup. That scene I think should have been cut down a little bit. But man, it was 2 hours and like 30 minutes, and it blew by, man. I loved every second of this movie. I actually bought the concessions popcorn bucket for the movie. I was so pumped. I loved it. I loved this movie. I highly recommend it. I like it more than Fury Road, and I think I like Fury Road more because of this movie. I think it added some much needed character development that film was lacking. And it only makes me wish we got Mad Max The Wasteland even more, because Max feels like a hollow character in that movie, partly because of the writing, partly because of Tom Hardy's performance. If George Miller could do what he did to Furiosa to Mad Max in the Wasteland prequel, I think I would hold Fury Road in much higher regard.